At the engagement brunch, my daughter-in-law raised her glass and called me their sponsor. Within seconds, 2 officers served her a cease and desist right at the table. I simply said, "My name is not your wallet," and sat back down. That moment wasn't revenge. It was restoration. I set the table the way my husband used to like it. Linen pressed crisp, the sweet tea already beating with condensation, cornbread cooling near the open window. The air smelled of salt and jasmine, the sound of the Ashley River slipping against the dock outside. It had been years since he passed, but small habits like these felt like guardrails, steadying me in a world that kept shifting beneath my feet. Reed arrived right on time, tall and uneasy, with his fiancée Sable trailing close behind. She was a pretty girl with perfect posture, the kind who rehearses every smile. 30 seconds later, Idalia Corwin swept in like perfume before a storm, Reed's future mother-in-law, uninvited but clearly planning to steer the evening. She took the head of the table without asking, like she owned the wood beneath her. We started with polite talk, Charleston small talk that dripped like syrup. Traffic on I-26? Terrible as ever. Tourists everywhere? Always. The laughter sat on the surface, brittle. I noticed Sable's phone turned face up beside her plate, Reed's restless hands, and Idalia's eyes scanning my silver like she was valuing it for auction. I breathed slow, the way I do when a meeting's about to turn sideways. People tell you who they are if you let silence work. Over pot roast, Sable set down her fork, cleared her throat, and said lightly, "We'd like to keep things simple. Your side will handle $65,000, the venue deposit and florals." For a heartbeat, I thought I'd misheard. "I'm sorry. Come again?" Idalia smoothed her napkin. "It's customary. In our circles, that word carried velvet rope energy. Reed's fork clinked against his plate. My chest tightened, but I kept my face still. "Is that so?" Sable leaned in, voice sugar sweet. "You're a banker. Miss Marin. Think of it as sponsoring love." A small laugh traveled the table and died on arrival at me. I set my glass down and said softly, "Honey, in my house, we don't price tag people." The air shifted. Outside, a gull cried like punctuation. I mentally logged the facts, amount, tone, witnesses. Idalia crossed one leg over the other. "The Chandler's calendar fills fast. We need a yes by Friday. You understand deadlines." I glanced at Reed. "Son?" He tugged at his napkin. "Mom, it's standard. Sable's family has expectations." That word, expectations, landed like judgment. Sable added quickly, "There'll be judges, partners, civic leaders, people who set the tone in Charleston. Or what happens if I say no?" Sable hesitated, eyes darting to her mother. "Then the date is released. We'd reconsider." Reconsider. The way she paired it with wedding told me everything. I took a slow sip of tea. My mother's voice surfaced. "When folks show you what they value, count your fingers after you shake their hand." I turned back to Reed. "You comfortable letting your fiancé talk money to your mother?" "Mom," he sighed, "don't make this awkward." That word cracked something inside me. Awkward. Not hurtful, not wrong, just awkward. "I'm not opposed to celebrating," I said, measured, "but I am opposed to being handled." Idalia's tone sharpened. "We're all adults, Ms. Marin. It's logistics." Inside, my mind lined up numbers the way I used to balance accounts, columns for respect, dignity, cost. They didn't add up. I leaned back, fingers resting on the linen. "Let's slow this cart down. I don't sign blank checks, not for business, not for family." Sable's smile faltered. "It's not blank, it's 65. Baby, I said gently. Anything without accountability is blank. I asked for contracts, refund clauses, vendor lists. Idalia bristled. We can't make calls at night just for your comfort. Then daylight will do, Reed mumbled. Mom, please. And I caught a flicker of the boy I once raised, caught between peace and backbone. When dinner ended, I packed leftovers into foil. Eat after you think, I told Reed. Sable waved it off. I don't eat heavy after 7. Idalia's smile returned, glassy. Friday. Then. When the door shut, the house finally breathed again. I rinsed the dishes, the sound of water soft against porcelain. Outside, a heron moved through the shallows, silent, deliberate. You picked the wrong old woman to underestimate, I whispered. Then I dried my hands, pulled my late husband's leather notebook from the drawer, and wrote one line. Who holds the note? I circled Friday twice. By sunrise, the house was quiet enough to hear the river move. I poured coffee into the same chipped mug my husband used and opened the leather notebook I'd circled twice. Friday. The words sat heavy as the morning mist. I made a list like I'd done my whole life. Facts before feelings. Call the venue. Confirm vendors. Contact Marlo Finch. She was my old colleague. Sharp as a tack, the kind who knew which numbers hummed wrong before anyone else did. I set my ground rules out loud, the way you pray before a storm. No blank checks, no rush deposits, like paper trails, start to finish. My pen tapped the table. Old habits die slower than pride. I called Reed. He sounded tired. Drive safe to Atlanta, I said. Keep your suit pressed and your conscience clearer than your shoes. He chuckled. Yes, ma'am. I didn't tell him I could hear the hesitation in his breath. I texted Sable. Please have the vendor list ready at the fundraiser. I'll bring my reading glasses. Her reply blinked back. A single sparkle emoji. I sighed, packed my folder, lined paper, 2 pens, reading glasses, and a portable charger. A banker's go bag, I said to the empty room. The drive to Atlanta was 5 hours of asphalt, talk radio, and thoughts I didn't want to name. Some call-in show was arguing about wedding budgets, people going broke to look rich. I turned the volume down when they started laughing. I practiced my questions out loud like a woman in court. Who signs the invoice? When is money due? What happens if plans change? The truth doesn't mind daylight. At a rest stop outside Augusta, I called Marlo. You still asking questions that make people fidget, she teased. Paper doesn't blush, I told her. People do. She promised to check back after the fundraiser. I texted Idalia next, looking forward to seeing the proposal. She answered, the ballroom will be busy. Let's just celebrate. That told me everything I needed to know. Avoid details early, push pressure late. By evening, the Buckhead Ballroom was lit like a bridal magazine. Soft jazz, gold, uplighting, and Sable's face smiling from a photo wall 3 gowns deep. Reed waved me over, relief flickering before he slipped back into the crowd. Sable grabbed my hand. Mom says you'll love this crowd. Everyone here appreciates taste. Then came the jab, quick, clean. This is Drew, Reed's mom. She keeps things tidy. She's a banker. The circle laughed too long. Someone added, we love bankers when they bring checks. Idalia chimed. In our circles, we keep weddings tasteful, not tacky. So grateful Drew understands standards. My voice was calm. My standard starts with reading what I sign. That froze the air enough to quiet the band for half a bar. Reed appeared, kissed Sable's temple. She whispered just loud enough, if the deposit's late, we'll have to downgrade the band. Eyes flicked to me like I was an ATM with pearls. I excused myself before my dignity turned into a scene. in the lobby mirror, I saw my face, not angry, just tired of being measured by the size of my purse. I texted Marlo, "Call after 9. Later, barefoot in the hotel room, I opened my laptop, public records, county filings, the usual paper fingerprints. Corwin Family Holdings, LLC, lien satisfied conditionally, 2 properties mortgaged to their teeth, 1 restructured loan. The concierge planner from the event? Same address as Sable's influencer agency. I didn't need secrets, just patterns, and the math stank of desperation. At 9:27, Marlo called. Her voice was velvet over steel. "Drew, can't talk clients, but if I were you, I'd read every line before wiring a dime. When folks re-age obligations," she added, "the calendar tells on them." I underlined calendar twice in my notebook. Something was coming due, and not just a payment. By the time my phone buzzed again, it was 9:59. A new email, subject line, temporary hold fee. No contract, just wiring instructions. I smiled, took a screenshot, and typed my reply, "Let's talk about standards." By morning, the air over the Ashley River hung still and gray. I brewed chicory coffee and opened my leather notebook to a fresh page. At the top, I wrote, "Ledger of silence." Every text, every email, every call since the fundraiser documented. I printed the temporary hold fee email, circled the mismatch between sender and agency domain, then I stapled the header, neat as evidence. My handwriting slowed on purpose, as if clarity itself was an act of resistance. I drafted questions that could live in daylight. Who's contracting? Where are funds held? Refund policy? In? Beneath that, I added one reminder to myself. Quiet isn't weakness. Quiet is record keeping. At 10, I called Reed. "Son," I said, "we need sunlight on these numbers." He sighed. That sound men make when they think they're humoring you. "Mom, not everything has to be a court case." I kept my tone level. "No, it doesn't. But weddings with missing contracts tend to end in them." He was silent. I let the pause breathe. "Are you saying Sable's lying?" he asked finally. "I'm saying the math is thin." I laid out one boundary, clean and kind. "If you want my help, I need itemized proposals by noon tomorrow. No documents, no check. That's love with a spine." Reed hated that phrase since college, but I meant it. "I'll ask Sable," he muttered. Softer now. "Good," I said. "Asking questions is grown man work." By noon, Idalia's SUV pulled into my drive like she owned the street. She didn't call first. She never did. She stepped out in linen and perfume, sunglasses perched like armor. "Charleston looks good on you, Drew," she said sweetly. I leaned on the porch rail. Charleston always did. Then came her pitch wrapped in sugar. "Let's not spook vendors with all these audits." I smiled. "Accountability isn't spooking. It's shepherding." She laughed, tight. "In our circles, a woman's word suffices." I met her gaze. "In mine, her signature does too." Her smile flickered. "We'll need your wire within 24 hours to hold the band." I jotted "band" in the margin. She glanced at the notebook and frowned. "You really keep notes?" I answered. "Only when I expect folks to forget." That evening, Sable hosted a Friends and Donors champagne tasting on King Street. I went because appearances matter until they don't. The shop glowed gold, soft music, clinking glasses, the scent of sugared almonds. Sable floated through in blush silk. Laughter rehearsed. When she saw me, her voice rose for the crowd. "We're blessed. Some give with their hearts. Some count every penny." Heads turned. The air tightened. Someone asked lightly, "Isn't Drew in banking?" Sable beamed. She is. Keeps things neat. Laughter again. Not cruel, but sharp enough to draw a line. I smiled once. Steady. Neat saves weddings from court dates. The chuckles dimmed. Across the room. Vernon Pike, the event manager, gave me a quick sympathetic nod. I sent Reed a short text. Your fiancé prefers applause to paperwork. Pick one. 10 minutes later, he arrived, flushed and breathless. I pulled him aside near a wall of champagne flutes. Look here, I said, showing the hold fee email on my phone. Who's the contracting party? If it's you, that's your liability. It's through the planner, he mumbled. Which legal entity? I pressed. Mom, this is killing the vibe, he said. I softened. Vibes don't pay judgments, baby. He rubbed his neck, eyes darting toward the crowd. You're making this so hard. No, I said quietly. I'm making it real. Then I gave him the line he couldn't mistake. No documents by noon. I stepped back. I'll still be your mother, but not your lender. He looked at me like he finally understood what that cost me. That night, home again. I placed the tasting pamphlet inside my folder, dated and filed. I wrote one line before bed. Kind now, clear later. The wind shifted off the river, warm and warning. My phone buzzed, another calendar invite. Band deposit 9 a.m. No attachments. I didn't respond. At 11:58 p.m., an email hit my inbox. Urgent. Wire by morning or we lose the date. I whispered to the quiet house. Then let it go. The valet line shimmered under chandeliers as I stepped into Crescent Hall. My silver shawl caught the low light, and Vernon Pike met me at the door, smiling that careful smile of men who've learned not to get involved in rich people's drama. Evening, Ms. Marin, you're early. Old habit, I said. Inside, the ballroom was honey gold, string quartet warming up, the Ashley River glinting beyond tall windows, escort cards in calligraphy, champagne flutes standing like sentries. I scanned the room the way other folks pray, quietly, thoroughly. Who handled invoices? Who held the tablet? Whose name was on the checks? Sable floated through in gold silk, greeting donors as if she'd invented grace. Idalia curated proximity, placing herself near anyone holding a title. I texted Marlowe. Standing by? She sent back a single line, one ring and I'm there. I pocketed the phone. Tonight wasn't for speeches, it was for truth. If they forced my hand. Idalia took the mic first, syrup smooth. We're so grateful to have family here, especially Drew for her tidy stewardship. The laughter that followed carried teeth. A man nearby quipped, "Bankers keep us generous," Sable added, louder than needed. "We may need to downgrade the band if contributions stall." The word contributions sliced through the air like a paper cut. Reed reached for my arm. "Mom, please, not tonight." I patted his hand once. "Relax, baby. I'm not the entertainment." A planner rushed over, clipboard ready. "Could you collect pledges, Ms. Marin?" I smiled, gentle but firm. "Sweetheart, I collect truth. Paperwork belongs with your lead." The girl blinked, confused. I noted the exchange, public pressure tactic. Confirmed. Near the terrace, I found Sable half hiding behind her own reflection. "Send me the full proposals before $1 moves," I said. Her tone softened into faux reason. "Drew, we don't need to litigate love." I met her gaze. "Then don't invoice it." Idalia drifted over, voice honey and warning. "Dear, the grown-ups are mingling. Let planners handle paper." "Then let planners send paper," I replied, steady as stone. Reed hovered, caught between blood and promise. "Son," I said, "enjoy your night. Inside, Something in me locked into place, steel disguised as calm. Idalia reclaimed the mic. "We're thrilled to confirm our headliner, pending timely deposits." The crowd applauded. I stepped back 2 paces, lifted my phone, and pressed 1-starred contact. "Marlowe," I said softly. "Standard verification for Corwin vendors. Public channels only." "Understood," she replied. The call ended. 15 seconds later, 2 verification associates entered the foyer, professional, courteous, neutral. The murmuring began. They asked for Idalia and Sable, explained they were validating vendor entities. No drama, no accusation, just verification. 3 findings came back quick as lightning. 1 planner unregistered, 1 vendor mailbox tied to a dissolved agency, 1 hold fee sent to a bankruptcy address. The air changed. I said nothing. My silence was enough. Sable paled. Idalia stammered about clerical errors. Reed stood motionless, eyes searching my face for anger. I gave him none. Vernon cleared his throat and took the mic. "Ladies and gentlemen, we'll pause collections until all documentation aligns. Enjoy the music." The quartet struck a minor chord, and conversation died in its shadow. I approached the women quietly. "By noon tomorrow, send signed proposals and vendor registrations. No paper, no money." Sable hissed. "You humiliated us." "No," I said. "I saved you from worse." I turned to Reed. "I love you. That's steady." His nod trembled but held. I thanked Vernon for his grace under fire, then walked out through a sea of lowered voices. The moon lay silver on the river like ink drying on a ledger. My phone buzzed before the valet opened my door. A blocked number, 1 text only. "You'll regret this." I saved it, labeled it, and smiled at the night air. The phone wouldn't stop buzzing. By 7:30, it felt like half of Charleston was awake and gossiping. My screen glowed with unknown numbers, half apologies, and a few brave souls trying to clarify what happened at Crescent Hall. I didn't answer a single one. Marlowe's text arrived first. "Don't engage. Read." Attached was a link. I tapped, and the video opened. Sable, off mic but clear as day, smirking to a friend. "If the old banker won't cough it up, we'll make her look cheap." Behind her, Idalia's voice, "Pressure her son. He hates awkward." That word again, awkward. The same blade my son had handed them weeks ago. I didn't flinch. I just turned on the kettle and let the footage loop while steam rose. Then I picked up my leather notebook and wrote 1 clean sentence. "Ballrooms tell on people when mirrors have ears." I poured coffee, sweet but strong, and said to the empty room, "We respond in daylight." By mid-morning, the clip had made the Charleston Chronicle's community page. Comments rolled in like tidewater, sharp, fast, public. Bless her heart, Drew carried this city through 2 hurricanes. Standards? Standards are contracts. I didn't reply or repost. I saved the page to PDF and dated it. Let others scroll. I document. A neighbor texted, "You okay?" I replied, "Fine." Porch at 5. Bring your laugh. That's how women like me recover. Sweet tea, slow truth, and a breeze off the river. Marlowe messaged again. "Decline interviews." The tape speaks. I followed orders. I watched it once more. Saw how casual cruelty always looks when daylight hits it. I wrote again. "When people show you who they are, don't interrupt." Around 11, Reed called. "Mom, they benched me at work. Said they don't want distractions. I didn't do anything." His voice cracked like old paint. "Sit still," I said. "Don't post. Don't defend. Let facts walk themselves out." He hesitated. "Did she really? I'm only responsible for me," I told him. "You have eyes. Use them." Silence stretched before he whispered, I'm sorry I let them aim at you. Come by at 4, I said. No speeches, just truth and lemonade. Then came the flood. Idalia texted a paragraph about context and bad jokes. I replied, please send contracts by noon tomorrow. Sable posted a photo collage of us with the caption, family first. I sent her one message, remove my image. A planner emailed another hold fee request, still no documents. I forwarded it to Marlo. 3 words. Same tactic again. Even Vernon texted from the venue. Didn't mean to stir headlines, ma'am. I answered, truth belongs in the light. At 4, Reed arrived carrying an envelope and eyes rimmed red. He didn't speak. He slid a note across the table. Mom, I believed convenience over character. I'm ashamed. I read, folded it, and let him talk. He'd asked Sable for the contracts, got Charm instead. She said, trust me, he murmured. Trust is earned, I replied, pouring lemonade. You know that from your father. He nodded, tears drying. Then he placed my spare house key on the table. Taking a week to think? That was enough. Good, I said. That's grown man work. The Chronicle posted again near sundown. Sources confirm 65,000 requested without contract. I didn't smile. I simply locked the door, stepped onto the porch, and cut 2 slices of pound cake when my neighbor arrived. We talked about gardens and grandkids, not gossip. Healing hides in the ordinary. Before bed, I texted Marlo. He's stepping back. I'm proud and quiet. She replied, tomorrow gets louder, rest. I wrote the day's last line in the ledger. We do not crow. We build. Morning would bring more noise. I could feel it. Still. I laid out my church hat on the hall table. Some armor isn't for war. It's for peace that must be protected. The courier stood on my porch, envelope in hand, eyes polite but knowing. I signed, thanked him, and set the thick packet on the kitchen table beside my ledger. The embossed crest wasn't from my bank. I slit the seal carefully, unfolded the first page, and read aloud. Notice of Acceleration, Corwin Family Holdings, LLC. The words were clean, cold, and cruel. Principal due in full within 72 hours. Delinquency dates already circled in red. My address appeared 2 pages down, listed as billing contact, sponsor. I hadn't sponsored a thing but truth. A yellow sticky note clung to the top, per planning packet. My pulse stayed steady. I photographed every page, timestamped them, filed the images under misrepresentation, and slipped the hard copies into my notebook. Then I dialed the bank's general line, not the executive desk. Remove my name from all sponsor records, I said evenly. It's unauthorized use. The woman on the other end hesitated. Then, compliance ticket opened. Miss Marin. Paper moved where pride never could. Reed was next. Son, take a breath before I explain. He sounded tired. What did they do now? A bank used my name as sponsor, I said. I've revoked it. If asked, your answer is Mom never agreed. That's all. His silence stretched thin. Did Sable? I stopped him. Ask her, and ask for the form. I reminded him gently. No statement, let documents talk. He sighed. Yes, ma'am. I texted him 2 short lines. No authorization, no funds. Ask for contracts. He replied with a single blue heart, small but sturdy. By mid-morning, I called Marlo Finch. They tied my name to a loan. Her voice came smooth as marble. You did right reporting it. I'll check the public dockets. No comment if media calls, I said. Let filings speak. Marlo chuckled softly. When people borrow beyond their integrity, the due date always arrives. Then we'll stand down on money, I replied. That's your sermon. Drew, she said. I logged our call, printed a fresh note, and tucked it behind a tab marked Stability. Just before noon, Idalia texted, "Let's clear this up." My club, noon, I answered. Email forms first. I review on paper, not over cocktails. 10 minutes later, her Mercedes eased up my driveway. I met her at the door, but didn't invite her in. She smiled, soft as syrup. "Drew, this is a misunderstanding." I held the letter high between two fingers. "Mistakes don't list my house as sponsor." She tried class. "In our circles," I cut her short. "In mine, we sign before we spend." Her charm cracked. "Vendors need assurance today. Vendors need contracts today." I said, "Assurance belongs in church, not banking." Her jaw tightened as she turned away. Pride can't handle boundaries. It bruises too easily. By afternoon, the Charleston Chronicle published the headline, "Corwin Family Holdings Faces Acceleration. Sponsor Listing Disputed." My phone buzzed nonstop. Comments streamed. She warned them. Contracts first. I didn't reply. I poured coffee, scrolled once, and saved the page. A florist emailed, "We're stepping back. No payment, no paper." I answered, "That's wise." A band manager wrote, "Sable says you're our sponsor." I replied, "That's untrue." Reed texted again, "I'm stepping away from planning. Enough's enough." My chest ached, but it wasn't pain. It was release. Evening fell slow and golden. Sable called twice. I let it ring. Then her text lit the screen. "We can fix this if you just wire the deposit." I typed 8 words. "No. No documents, no money. Stop using my name." Then I forwarded the thread, saved it as PDF, and labeled it "Pressure Attempts." Outside, the river shimmered bronze. I sat on the porch, sweet tea sweating in my hand, feeling peace settle like dusk. "I'm not your sponsor," I whispered to the wind. "I'm my son's mother." The Chronicle sent a push alert at 8:30. Venue reviewing Corwin contracts. My phone buzzed again. Reed's name. "Mom, they want a family summit tomorrow. Me, you, Sable, Idalia. Should I go?" I stared at the screen, then typed my answer. "We'll go, but we bring the ledger." The morning came quiet. Charleston light, soft through lace curtains. I sat on the porch with my ledger open to a new page labeled Consequences. The pen moved slow but steady. Vendors under review, a polite note from the band director, and the Crescent Hall's neutral statement confirming their investigation. Coffee steamed beside me, bitter and grounding. I called Marlowe for an update. "Paper has patience," she said. "Pride runs out of gas." We laughed the way women do when the truth hurts less, said out loud. My inbox chimed. 5 messages flagged urgent, all containing the words wire or hold. I printed each, clipped them neatly, and wrote in the margin, "If you can't explain it simple, don't sign it." I texted Reed, "Eat, hydrate, ask for documents." He answered, "Yes, ma'am." Small victories are the ones you sleep on later. A black SUV idled in front of my porch an hour later. Idalia Corwin stepped out, her tennis whites bright under the noon sun, sunglasses reflecting my house back at me. "Drew," she started, voice soft as cotton. "Women like us keep families from falling apart." I leaned against the rail. "Families fall from secrets, not sunlight." She smiled tightly, sat when I gestured. She painted her problem with pity-colored words, vendors panicking, gossip swirling, prestige slipping. I listened, letting silence do its work. "We only listed you as sponsor to reassure them," she said. I slid the acceleration notice across the table. Then reassurance came to my mailbox. Her composure cracked. She pleaded for time, offered to post a public apology if I'd co-sign a vague statement about learning experiences. "Learning," I said. isn't a press release. Her last weapon was my motherhood. Think of Reed. He'll be frozen out. He's thawing just fine, I said. You'd be surprised how warm truth feels. When her charm failed, the mask fell. We just need 65 by end of day to keep it afloat. She said it softly, like asking for sugar, not money. I folded my hands. No is a complete sentence. Her eyes narrowed. If you wire it, I'll keep your name out of the Chronicle. I chuckled low. The Chronicle prints facts, not favors. I offered her one honest road. Bring me real contract. We'll talk after that. She stood, fury wrapped in perfume. You'll regret this when our circles close. I smiled. I live in neighborhoods, not circles. She left without turning back. I wrote the time and weather in the ledger. Documentation isn't cold, it's armor. By mid-afternoon, Sable appeared unannounced, eyes swollen, voice trembling on cue. I never meant harm, Miss Marin. I just wanted Reed to shine. I motioned her to a chair, but she kept standing, rehearsing tears like lines from a play. Baby, I said softly, feelings don't fix ledgers. She begged for help, just this once. I met her gaze. Prove it with paperwork, not pity. Her lip quivered. Hidalia's fixing things. She just needs you calm. I nodded. Tell your mother my name's no longer available for your paperwork. She flinched as if struck. You'll never be welcome in our circles. Oh, sweetheart, I said. I wasn't auditioning. She walked away slower than she came, like a storm losing wind. At 3, Reed arrived, tie crooked, heart heavier than his briefcase. He handed me his phone, a draft message to Sable. I'm pausing the engagement. No contracts, no wedding, don't contact my mother again. He asked me to read it aloud. I did, slowly. Add one line, I said, wishing you clarity and good bookkeeping. He gave a sad laugh. Then he hit send. Silence followed, thick, holy. He set his spare apartment key on the table. If I start to wobble, I touched his hand, you'll rest, then you'll stand. We folded laundry after that, socks and silence both finding their pairs. As dusk settled, Vernon texted, saw the SUV leave. Proud of your boundaries. I smiled, wrote back a single heart. I called Marlowe, logged every detail. Consequences chapters almost closed, she said. One more to go. I walked Reed to his car. Hydrangeas brushed our arms. We don't relitigate, I told him. We proceed. Inside. I opened my ledger one last time tonight and wrote, Dignity is a payment plan. Boundaries are receipts. Love is not a loan. When I turned off the porch light, the river hummed beyond the trees, patient as truth itself. Then my phone buzzed. Final determination, Corwin event status. I opened it and smiled without showing teeth. The morning light spilled through my blinds, steady and clear, like it knew something was about to end properly. I opened the ledger, wrote final actions at the top, and made 3 bullets: sworn affidavit, cease and desist, vendor advisory. Marlowe picked up on the first ring. Language must be exact, she said. No adjectives, only evidence. I laughed softly. Honey, I've run my life on nouns. By 9, I sat at my bank, notarizing every page, each line stamped proof that my name had been borrowed without consent. The teller watched me sign, said, Feels like justice, doesn't it? Feels like housekeeping, I replied. My family counsel filed the cease and desist by 11, delivery timed for their noon brunch. I emailed the vendors my note, Please remove my name from your records. Proceed only with signed contracts. At the bottom, one quiet truth. Paper walks when pride won't. By 12:30, I stood at the edge of their terrace brunch, rosé glinting, gossip humming. Idalia lifted her glass mid-sentence. And we're grateful for our sponsors' patience. On that word, 2 process servers appeared like a breeze through silk, papers in hand, polite as ushers. They served her and Sable each envelope, cease and desist, affidavit, and a stamped delivery receipt. The sound of forks paused mid-air. I rose just enough to be seen, not dramatic, not cruel. "My name," I said, "is not your wallet." The hush afterward was better than applause. It was respect rediscovered. A woman near the table whispered, "Was this necessary?" I turned, calm as Sunday. Necessary is when "please stop" didn't work. I read my 1-minute statement from the ledger. I was never a sponsor. My identity was misused, the venue canceled due to false filings, and all vendors should require proper contracts. Sable tried a teary defense. "This is character assassination." I held up the affidavit. "Character shows after someone says no." Idalia muttered something about "our circles." I finished her thought. "In mine, we sign before we spend." The guests stared down at their plates. Vernon texted from the corner, "Ma'am, that was surgical." Reed met me outside the terrace, face steady, like a man who'd packed away his excuses. "Mom, I'm ending it today." "Contract or conversation?" I asked. "Both," he said. I handed him the page I'd printed. Exit with dignity. Simple instructions. No blame, no statements, no ring exchange spectacle. He read it, nodded. "Thank you for loving me with a spine." I smiled. "Go be the man you've been practicing to be." He walked away tall, no glances back. Parents of grown sons know. That's the quiet miracle. By late afternoon, my porch filled with voices that mattered, neighbors, a teacher, a deacon, and Marlowe on speaker. I set down pound cake and poured tea. "The Lydia Marin microgrant," I announced. 65,000 divided into small mercies, prom dresses, trade certifications, elder dental care. That was the cost of their performance. I've converted it into dignity. The teacher whispered, "That's the kind of wedding we should all fund." Laughter rolled like grace. Marlowe said from the phone, "Legacy spends better than spectacle." As dusk fell, I got one final email from the Crescent Hall. Hold canceled due to misrepresentation. I archived it without a smile. Vindication doesn't need decoration. Sable's last message came an hour later. "We can fix this," I replied. "Counsel only." Blocked. Reed called, said he'd return the ring, made dinner, washed dishes. "I'm okay." "Mom," I said. "Good. Keep being okay." I placed my ledger beside my Bible. 2 books. Same truth, one about laws, the other about grace. Through the window, the Charleston River shimmered like polished metal. I whispered to myself, "You don't buy respect in this country. You build it, and you keep a copy." Just as I closed the ledger, a new email blinked onto the screen. Subject line, "About that brunch. We have names." 3 attachments. One logo I recognized from Reed's firm. My breath caught mid-sip. Legacy, it seemed. Wasn't done auditing the living. What would I find when I opened it?